And we're here for BizClinicZA, which is for entrepreneurs and business owners to bring their questions or challenges that they have, to learn from what the senior business advisors in the room can help us with, but also perhaps learn from each other. If we find solutions, we can share those too. The event is here for us to learn firstly and foremostly, not to complain, not to point fingers, but to be respectful to each other, to make sure we use the polite language that's appropriate, and to be prompt in what we do. So ask a question, point to a challenge that we face, and then we can clarify those too. If we can, we will bring you in to speak, but you start off by opening the Q&A window in Zoom, sorry, at the bottom of your Zoom window. If you are on a computer, there will be a button that says Q&A. If you click that, you can post your question that you want to have answered or comment that you want to make in there. If you're on your phone, you may have to swipe or click those little dots there to come to Q&A. Just click that Q&A icon, and it will take you to a window where you can type your question, whether on your phone or your computer. Okay, so that out of the way, we will not go over 2 minutes in the questions. We hope, sort of, so that we have enough time for everyone to ask their questions. We are a nice group of people in the room, so I'm sure we have several questions that we want to have answered. We must note, though, that in the format that we are here, it is limited in terms of our understanding as advisors. You're always best suited to engage with someone on a specific basis where you can cover your issues in detail. So you can't solely rely on the replies that you get on here in terms of business advice. You must seek advice a bit broader too. But with that, having said that, I see that there is not much activity in the Q&A yet, but on the text chat, there's been quite a few comments, sort of where people say morning. So Veronica, it's nice to see you there. I'm going to ask that if you can, click the Q&A button and post a question that you have, perhaps. So Veronica, sort of you're saying you're developing women in agri and building export businesses for superfoods. It would be great. It would be great to hear what kind of challenges you are facing in that context for us perhaps to discuss here now. It may not be a challenge that you face yourself, but a challenge that is happening in the sector that you're serving. So sorry to pick on you, Veronica, but that sounds like an interesting work that you're doing, and we'd love to learn more about that too. Chickens and packaging is what Zenzile is doing in Pretoria. That's a growing and fast growing, in fact, sector, sort of in the food space. Tumisani is supply and distribute poultry feeds. It looks like we've got a lot of people in the food industry here today. So let's also running an internet cafe. It's an interesting combination, Tumisani, of different businesses. So any of you can also raise your hand, by the way. There's a button there that says reactions. If you click that, you can raise your hand too, and we can bring you in to speak if you're unable to type. Wilfred from Leap Entrepreneurial Development, consulting, training, developing. Yeah, so even those of us that are supporting other entrepreneurs are running businesses. So it is interesting that we also are facing business challenges sometimes. So Johan, welcome Johan. Foresight today, developing e-learning content and support learning materials using Moodle. Okay, so anyone you're welcome to raise your hand to speak or to indicate to us otherwise in the text chat a question that you would like to answer. And thanks, Guy, you're coming to our rescue here with the first comment there. About incubatees to grow, to accelerate, and sort of how do we get? Guy's question is about how do we get more incubatees into incubators? and accelerators. How do they select? Perhaps I think if I can interpret your question, but Guy, if you don't mind, we can actually bring you into the discussion and allow you to explain a bit more about what that question is about. You just need to unmute and we can speak.
Hi, yeah, Chris, thanks a lot and thanks for what you're doing here. I think it's very important. My main concern, I think you've heard me before on this, that too many incubatees become too dependent on the incubators, so they rotate from one incubator to another, and they never graduate to accelerators. So to me, an incubatee is somebody who's got turnover of 0 to 10 million rand or 0 to 10 employees, and accelerators are people who are growing from 10 to 50, and therefore creating a lot more jobs. And as you know, my passion is job creation rather than tenderpreneurs. And I think that we need to find what is the key for growing a business from a very micro business, not to 10 employees or million rand turnover, into something that's creating a lot more jobs, because that's what's really needed in this country.
Right, thanks, guys. So Ivan, Bonolo, maybe Bonolo, we can start with you. Those businesses that enter an acceleration or incubation program, how can we advise them? How can we support them not to become dependent on what they get in those programs? I think that's the essence of it. So it is a bit of a broader discussion as opposed to a specific question. I see Kabelo has also asked a question now about funding. Anyone else, please post a question or an area. It may be something that you find as a challenge in your business or that you know others do for discussion, because we can also learn from each other. But Bonolo, if we can focus on Guy's comment and question first around how we prevent dependency from the support entrepreneurs get from accelerators, incubators, and perhaps other support programs too, even from SEDA's support programs. You'll have to unmute Bonolo to comment.
I think first thing, business needs to be committed into the businesses. They need to be independent, and in SEDA, we assist clients to be confident of themselves and learn to stand on their own. That's what we do in SEDA. And we've got assessments that we do whereby we assess the clients personally and business-wise. So that way we can see if the client is ready to start a business, to be on his business on his own, or to whether we can handhold him until we can tell that this client is ready to go by himself or herself. That's what we do in SEDA. And the nice part of SEDA is we handhold the client until we see that this client is ready to fly on his own,
Okay.
or on her own. Yeah.
You mentioned some assessments that you do. Can you explain a bit more what that is and how that helps businesses to understand how they should prevent from becoming dependent on the support?
We've got the assessments that we've got ACO, and then ACO, and Tata Ivan, are you there?
You're relying on the experienced Ivan in the room. Ivan, so but I think if we can get more pointed to move away from just saying what the assessments are to how those assessments help the entrepreneur to understand not to become dependent.
No, I think the starting point is at SEDA, we've got what we call a client journey. So as Bonolo was just saying, we would start you as a startup and take you through the processes or steps until you are independent, because we've got a subsidy also that we give to clients for various interventions. So the independence is part of the client journey. And the assessment that we do with that, we do it at the beginning of contact with the client. Like she said, we've got what we call assessing company operations, which is like it looks at the business holistically.
Yeah.
And we've got another tool which we call critical planning exercise, which focuses on your finances. Those are the only two tools, but we've got more than two.
Yeah.
So we would use a particular tool at the particular stage of the client's business.
Right, and they then get that feedback given to them. What are the areas in development?
We engage the client through the whole journey, from the beginning until they are independent.
Right. I see Bonnie Mbukelwa from SEDA's Learning Academy has joined us now too, because load shedding kicked him out. And I know, Bonnie, it's only load shedding that stops you from attending these events. You're muted now, by the way, Bonnie, so you'll first have to unmute before you can speak.
Yes, Chris. Hey, frustrating, man. Frustrating.
It is perhaps that is something that we can talk about, but too, we're not complaining about the load shedding, but how we deal with it if we can't afford, like big companies, the generators that they install and so on. As small businesses, I've learned that people have quite innovative ways of dealing with some of the challenges relating to load shedding. So, but yeah, come back when you can. If you get kicked out of a meeting, I think I learned from you now, Bonnie. But thanks for SEDA too for being a partner in bringing this platform to the community of small businesses, in helping us to grow our businesses. That's what we are about here. But can we move on, Guy, from your question to maybe Kabelo's question? Guy, just to check in with you. Or did you anticipate we speak more about accelerators and incubators specifically?
Yeah, I would like to know whether there are any, or which are the really good accelerators in South Africa. I've got some views on that, and what their success rates is growing businesses and creating lots of jobs. Thanks. I'll put my comment about coping with load shedding in the comments.
Okay, great stuff. We're going to maybe discuss that a bit more just now, so you can come in there too. I see Thomas has raised his hand, and we've got Veronica and Asanda and so on commenting too. So SEDA is involved with incubators. I'm not sure. I know that Ivan and Bonola, you are working through the branches and not in the incubators sector, but it is SEDA is quite involved there, supporting. I don't know, Bonnie, do you know how many incubators are SEDA supporting nowadays?
Oh, you keep on changing. I really don't have it on my head right now, Chris.
But it is like
the guys who are working with that as the STP.
Yeah.
SEDA Technology Program.
Yeah. So there is a program in SEDA itself working with incubators and accelerators. And then, of course, there are lots of independent ones too. I don't know what the total number is, or if someone has done recent count on how many incubators and accelerators it is. But it's hundreds, sort of. So how do you choose where to go to if you are a small business and you are thinking of making use of that is an issue, I suppose. And that's kind of maybe part of what Guy is asking. What is the success rate of incubators and accelerators? So we don't have that information right now. But if there is someone that wants to comment about that, I'm not sure, Thomas, I'll allow you to talk if you have a view or experience in terms of using incubators or accelerators as a support mechanism. Thomas, you can unmute. Just that button on the left bottom of your Zoom screen, or if you're on your phone, you'll see the microphone button that says unmute. Thomas, otherwise we'll go on if perhaps you are not finding the right button.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you very much. No, I'm struggling with my device here. It's not giving me nice options. I won't comment much on the topic because I'm being off and on. I was out, I came back again because I'm trying to set up in terms of emote and unmute. It's struggling not to give me that option. So I'm struggling here. That's why Yeah, but I'll have this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Thomas Mpuno. I'm from Jimiston area in Gauteng, which I do construction. My company was registered in 2009, and I do construction is broad. I do civil works and so on, maintenance, if you can name it. But to cut short, I'm an entrepreneur, which I'm looking for any other options in business. I'll end there.
Okay, no, thanks for joining, Thomas. You can come back later to comment too, sort of if there is something. But I see Dumisani specifically. So Dumisani is a participant in a SEDA incubator. So Dumisani, would you like to unmute?
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
No, we're doing well too. So you commented there in the Q&A around participation and what kind of support you are getting. The question is, how do we ensure that people like yourself don't become dependent on that support?
Yes, that is my question, because I've been in an incubator here in Potchefstroom that is sponsored by SEDA, the most sponsor we have there. We were given office spaces to work on for our businesses. There's a place called a maker space where we can do a lot of things like art, where you can brand your uniform. If you use uniform, you can brand your many things like your caps, maybe for office caps and stuff like that, and printing labels for your product, things like that. And we have been given several trainings on business related training, the trainings that we really do need, like your tax compliance trainings, business management, all those trainings, yes. And we graduated in March now, last month. And my question or my challenge is this: with all the knowledge now that we acquired from them, how do we go forward now with our businesses? Because most of us, it's not many of us, we're only 26. Most of us, if not all of us, our main challenge was the funding. Yes, we did need the training so we can comply and better manage our businesses. But after this incubation program of 2 years, my business is still sitting at the same level financially. But because of the trainings that I received, I won't say it's still sitting at the same level, because administration side, I know how to keep my records now. I know what is required from me. I know how to deal with SARS, all those things. But the finance side of my business, it's still a challenge. It's still a challenge with all the knowledge now that I'm so ready to take on, but I still cannot, because I'm lacking the funding. Yes, that was my question. Like, the incubators will incubate and assist with other business resources that the business needs. But if they don't assist with the funding, then you still have to start all over again, because one, if you go to a bank will ask you for all these 1,000 documents that you don't even have. They will ask you for audited financial statement. We are small businesses. We don't keep things like that. We don't have.
Great, thanks, Dumisani. I think stay with us, because there may be some follow-up questions that we want to ask you. But
Okay.
Ivan and Bonolo, maybe we can come to you here's now the specification of Dumisani. They've gone through the 2 years. They've learned all these things about running your business, how to deal with the registrations, how to deal with the tax issues and so on. But there's still challenges, and it may actually threaten the viability of the business. How should a person like Dumisani that's exiting a incubation program make sure that they can still build their business? What advice would you give someone like that? Bonola, will come to you just now, but maybe we can start with you, Ivan, if you can unmute.
Well, we have a sister company called SEFA, which stands for Small Enterprise Finance Agency. Its main mandate is to provide finance to small enterprises. But we've got others like your National Empowerment Fund, we've got the IDC, we've got funding all over. That's all over. Even some government departments and municipalities fund small businesses. But if you got the purchase order, you'll guarantee that you'll get funding from SEFA. The good news is by the end of this financial year, SEDA and SEFA will be one organization, which means once SEFA has compiled a business plan for you, you don't have to go and look for SEFA. You can submit that business plan for funding at SEDA offices and you'll get funded from SEDA. But that's from the next financial year.
I see Kabelo also has a question around funding. I'm not sure, Kabelo, if you just want to explain a bit more your question around funding while we're not talking about funding. Kabelo, I've allowed you to talk, so you just have to unmute to speak. Kabelo, you can unmute and speak. Kabelo was asking about a specific fund, but there are, of course, apart from SEFA, also various other sources of funding, including at the banks and other grants that are available. So, Ivan, if the merger happens, will that become easier for SEDA clients to get access to funding, or what is anticipated in terms of the results of the merger?
Well, that's the rationale for merging SEDA and SEFA, to make it easier for small enterprises to get funding and to grow. But there are a lot of grants in the government departments. I think if they can get the business advisor who can advise them where to look for funding, I think it would be easy for them to get funded.
Good, perhaps. Yes, Bonolo, please.
I understand where Dumisani is coming from. We have also under SEFA. Remember, SEDA doesn't fund. But as Ivan has said before, we do, under SEFA, we do have a program called TRAP. TRAP is a township and rural entrepreneurship program that we have, and where we work hand in hand with SEFA. And this program, we help township and rural businesses, but they've got specific businesses that they assist. We've got the personal care, whereby they assist salons, automotive, panel beaters, food industry, whereby they assist maybe businesses that for cooked food, your chisanyamas, they assist on that note. And on the requirements, they've got projections. They will ask the client for 5 years projections, and that's not easy for the client. So that what the clients need to do, they'll need to come to SEDA and then consult with a business advisor, and then the business advisor will assist on that matter.
Someone that's been in an incubation program, doesn't matter whether it's SEDA or supported or not, can go to a branch and have a discussion with the business advisor about assessing what their needs are in the next phase of the business, if I hear you right, Bonolo.
Yes.
And they will do an assessment then, and if it's suitable to support that business, they may come up with a plan and some intervention support that may be provided to that client.
Yeah, remember they will ask you for your financial records. For maybe their requirements is that your business should have been operating for 6 months at least. So if you don't record your finances, to them it means that you don't have a business.
Yeah.
So if we assess you the business and see and check that and find out that the business doesn't have records, we start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. To develop a financial management system for the client.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are the requirements of the people that are able to fund businesses is most important to understand.
Yes.
Not to be so tied up in what we do in our business and thinking the financial institution is just going to understand, but to study and understand what it is that they require so that we can build towards that point that we can meet the requirements. Now, I see Fitzani is saying it's a bit like a chicken and egg, because before you can deliver on what the funders want, you need to have the customers, and the customers want to look at your capacity, which you need the money for. So how can we as small businesses prepare ourselves better to be fundable, I suppose, is Fitzani's question. And I see Mondi wants to comment about it, and we have Dumisani online too still. So maybe we can tackle it from that perspective, sort of if we are in that space of not having access to money yet, not being able to meet the requirements of the financial institutions, how do we build our businesses and prepare ourselves to be able to do so? So Mondi, I see you said you wanted to comment about that specifically. You can unmute and speak, Mondi.
Thank you, Christoph, and afternoon to everyone. Christoph, I have an issue or a problem being in the developmental space. I've been incubated before, and I don't think Mr. Ivan responded to the gentleman who mentioned that they are in incubation and they are exiting. And with the people that I'm coaching and mentoring, I find a lot who are part of incubation programs, they are not ready to survive outside of the environment of being incubated. So my question would be, how do we position the gentleman and everyone else to be able to work profitably and be sustainable outside of an incubation program? I understand about the CFAs, but for me, I don't understand why should one be in incubation and after 2 years, they then need to go apply to CFA. So are we saying in about 5 years, that person is being assisted by these programs and they are not in a position to be taught, to get the learnings, to be, in a position for one not to even say, I've been incubated, but I don't have financial statements. No. So can we relook at that, Christoph? But also, as a parting shot, I think also as entrepreneurs, it's for us to understand incubation is not there to hold us forever, but it's a stepping stone to build a foundation, and we need to do what is required. But I think we need to change also that mindset, Christoph, because I'm bleeding inside to see many of entrepreneurs being in the position like that gentleman. They don't know what to do or how to grow businesses outside of incubation.
Yeah. So it sounds like you must start an incubator, Mondi.
Help me, Christoph.
Tibor also I hope I pronounce your name correctly, Tibor. Also wants to comment about this issue.
Hi, Chris. Thanks a lot. My name is Teboho. And before I say anything, I just want to say thank you for providing us with this platform with the SEDA guys on a monthly basis. I found these sessions very informative. So I'm a business consultant and I've got a small business myself. So when we talk about funding, one of the key things that I've noticed is that some of the very good programs that government has got are sometimes not very well advertised. People are not aware of them. So to give you an example, there's a guy here who's just posted that it's Nico Maluleke, who just posted that he owns a business in the tourism sector. So there is a program, for instance, from the tourism department that is now giving people in that sector grant funding up to R1 million to solve their load shedding problems, so to speak. And this program has been running since 2017, but the take up for the program is so low. So it could be a matter of, first, people are not aware. Secondly, I think, yes, there is grant funding and there's also funding. And the biggest thing that people moan about is the turnaround times of the responses to their applications. So if you were to go, for instance, and apply for money from the NEF as an example, you're looking for money to buy a hotel establishment or something of that kind, there is a whole lot of paperwork that you need to go through first before the application is either declined or approved. So the turnaround times are quite a thorny issue. And then also with us as business people, just getting organized in terms of the basic paperwork, because a lot of times people will trip in terms of requirements because their SARS issues are not up to scratch. And we can't expect government agents to fund people without their affairs being in the right state with SARS. So those are the comments I just wanted to make. And the last comment I just need to make, Bunolo mentioned that they can go to the branches, SEDA branches, where they can be assisted. Sometimes it also depends on the footprint of SEDA, because I know someone who is located in northern KwaZulu-Natal who has to travel more than 300 kilometers to get to the nearest branch. So how do we deal with those things? Thanks, Christo.
No, great. Thank you very much, Bogo, for those reminding about those essentials that you have to have in place. So it's like you can't communicate with people if you don't have a cell phone. You know, the same thing for your business. You can't apply for funding if you don't have those essentials in place. I think that's the basis of it all. I see Chantel has got some practical tips there if you are in that space before you can get funding. But perhaps Ivan and Manolo, if there are comments that you want to make at this point in time, it would be appropriate before we go to Chantel to give us some of those practical tips that she has there. Manolo or Ivan?
Nothing from my side.
Are you okay, Ivan? Then we can hear from Chantel. Hi, Chantel.
Good afternoon. So I do capital raise, or I provide support services to raise capital for small businesses. And I've basically looked at and used, my experiences as well to see how can I best help them, so that before they pay over money to me to do the service for them, what have they done? Because not most of the clients who come through to me can afford my services. So I started my enterprise development consultancy firm by bootstrapping. Every cent that I get, that I have, is reinvested in the business. So I have not gone out and looked for any external funding. And if I've got any planned expenses, I would follow the same route. The first business that I started was a public relations agency many years ago. I had no money. I needed to get legal services for it. And a friend of mine who needed a marketing plan for her legal law firm. Then we started chatting, and I did her marketing plan, and she provided legal services. So we bartered, So you can go out to market and speak to somebody who has got the service that you require, and offer them your service or your product, whichever way, for a period, but obviously you guys need to ensure that your agreements are clear and it is, they are worth, or they've got the same value of sort. Yes. That's one of them. Friends and family, honestly, I hear a lot of business people saying that friends, family don't support. My client base, actually 50% are friends and family. And the supporters have been mostly friends and family. If you're a small business and you need 100 Rand to service a client, go to a friend, go to a family member, give them whatever guarantees you need to give them to get that money. We are always running to banks, and most of us don't even meet the eligibility requirements. Go to corporates as well. They would have some programs, that would provide the funding or the support that you need. Find out in your industry which companies are offering what to small businesses, and tap into those. Read, Google, find out, ask friends. There's just so many things, opportunities out there. I mean, the lady just mentioned that the Department of Tourism has got a program. And I also wonder how many people actually know about that. So I think as a business person, it is your duty to find out what is happening in your industry and in your line of business, and spend that time making an effort to find out, because most people would say, I need funding. You ask them why. They don't even know why, you know. So really, we should really find, even sell an asset, you know. I work from home. I don't need a car. I live in an area where everything I need is within walking distance. So do I need the car? I'm sitting with 800,000 rands. I need 500,000 rands, put my car up on the market and fund my business dream. So there are so many other ways to skin the cat in terms of financing.
I take from you, Chantel, very strongly the responsibility remaining with the entrepreneur and understanding what the real needs are of the business and where they can actually find ways of getting going without having to go to the bank first, which is a strong. I see there were some other comments from Mark and from, who was it, Johan? Sorry for this. Around that specific issue too. But perhaps we can move on to some other questions, Ivan and Bonolo, around business planning. So I see Tebogo made a comment there, and Veronica asked about the business model canvas. So how is SEDA supporting entrepreneurs in making business plans, and what is the role of something like the business model canvas? I'm not sure who of you want to go first, Bonolo or Ivan. You are muted, Ivan. Just unmute quickly.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes.
Okay. The business canvas model is one of SEDA tools. You also use it to assess businesses. I can't remember the other concern or question.
So Veronica was asking about the business model canvas and how SEDA assists people with that. I think Tebogo was asking about the turnaround time in preparing a business plan, if SEDA supports them in that.
That's a very good question. The SEDA model is, we start with the assessment. After we've assessed the requirements of the business, we discuss the action plan with the business owner. And if he agrees to our recommendations or insists on a particular intervention like a business plan, if he says, no, I need a business plan now, what we do is we'd send requests for quotation to a minimum of 5 service providers. And once we've received the quotations, at least a minimum of 3, as per the Public Finance Management Act, we choose the service provider to do a business plan for the client. Fortunately now, if you are a Black person, I'm sorry to say that, but we're using technical funding metrics which favors Black people, it favors women, it favors the youth, it favors the disabled. For those groupings, with the first intervention, SEDA will pay the service provider 100%. And the business owner will pay nothing. But a business plan is among many interventions that SEDA pays for. For a business plan, we've got a cap value where SEDA pays up to 15,000 for a business plan. I hope I've answered that question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivan. Bonolo, I'm not sure if there's something in your experience that you would like to add. I want to come to Sanda's question specifically. I know that you have food industry expertise too, Bonolo. But before we do so, in the business planning space, you know, sort of what advice would you give entrepreneurs when they want to ask SEDA to support them in their business planning process? And it seems there are two questions here. The one is, there are practical conceptual development, confirming what my business is about, tools like the business model canvas. And then there are maybe more traditional business plans that is maybe a financial proposal to a financier. And for that, you need a business plan document with a financial forecast and so on included in there.
Yeah, thank you, Christoph. I think before developing a business plan, we'll need to do a business model canvas on the business, on the client actually, so that we can identify some of the information that we need, because a business model canvas will focus on the key partners of the business, the key activities, the unique value proposition of the business, customer relationship, the channels, the customer segment of which the client is doing. So from the business model canvas, we'll source most of the information from there. And that's when we can start with the business plan. And for the business, like Mr. Ivan have said, we start with business registration, and then we have the confidentiality agreement between the client, the SEDA, and the branch manager. And then from there, we start the assessment, and then the action plan, and then we send out the request for quotations, and the intervention start. And the process, it depends on each and every businesses. Yeah, it depends, but most of the time it takes, I can say 2 to 3 months to be completed.
Especially if you first help the business owner to get clarity around the concept of the business, the uniqueness of the business, who those ideal clients are, what the kind of transactions are that they'll do with those clients with a tool like the business model canvas. So that can take a few weeks in itself. And then, of course, if you produce a document that must be fundable, it needs to meet the requirements of the financiers. And then you need to, of course, illustrate who the clients are that you already have. I think that's the point that some of us raised. There's kind of a chicken and egg there, that in building your business, you need some resources in place, and for that you need money. But you can't get the money because you don't have the client base yet. And I found some of the comments actually quite useful that we had here today, that we don't necessarily have to, we can build our business step by step, not stepping into the ideal model that we may have in mind, but gradually creating momentum. And I think it was, who was it? Chantel, that gave us some really practical tips there. We can do that. But maybe we can conclude, except Ivan, do you have a final comment about business plans, or Ponolo? Asanda has got a really interesting question, I think, that we can still address. We still have time for that, I think. Yes, we do. Then we step off business plans for now. And thank you, everyone. I see there's a lot of comments. If you haven't noticed anyone attending, in the text chat and in the Q&A, there are very interesting comments from some of the attendees too, in terms of what they've learned over time works, that we can all learn from. Shall we go on to Asanda's question? So Asanda, maybe I did allow you to speak, I think. No, I haven't. I'll allow you to speak about your question around training of staff in the food sector. What is the challenge that you're facing, Asanda?
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, everyone. My struggle is this on my business, is the staff I have. I always get people, they don't know how to cook. Then I start to teach them how to cook. And then you also have to go and teach them how to sell on this your business. Like for instance, a business service, how to serve a customer. For me, I wish if they can also, like as entrepreneurs, have some things like workshops where they can go and train how to serve the customer. Because also as I'm an entrepreneur, I also go and find information. So I would love also for them to also get what I always collect somewhere, somehow, to someone else is bigger than me. I think for me it can help somewhere somehow, because they get the job and then they work. Maybe other ones, they don't have a passion for this thing they are doing, so they end up leave the job halfway and they stay at home because maybe they get the management where they don't get together, so they quit the job. That's my challenge now. Otherwise my business is doing great for now. And then I also do apply this thing of SEFA, the funding of SEFA. I don't know whether I meet the requirements or I didn't meet the requirements, because when I check it, it still says pending since last year.
Sorry, I was muted there. Asanda, so you say you're doing your business is growing and so on. Your big challenge is around the staff, and we'll ask Bonolo to comment about that. But just tell us a bit more about the application to funding and the tracking of that. How does that work?
When I go check it, Chris, it's always said pending, because I did send all the documents they want. They want the bank statement, they want the business profile, they want everything. Then I also the SEDA, they helped me also to meet the requirements they need. But when I still check it, it always said pending. Even I also come to SEDA and check. They check for me. They say it's still pending since last year.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, Bonolo, maybe we can start tackling the question around the staff training in the food industry and take it from there.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. On the staff training, with SEDA, we focus more on business development. We don't do technical stuff, like training your staff on how to cook. But we do have a quality department whereby your staff may be trained on HACCP or food and safety. We do have those kind of trainings whereby your staff can be trained. Yeah, that's all I can say on that matter.
Do you work with any of the SETAs, Bonolo, when it comes to helping small businesses to get access to good training?
Yeah, we do here and there. Most of the time they will ask us to refer clients to them, maybe to group clients, maybe in 20 that are in the food industry, so that they can come and train them. That is the benefit of being a SEDA client. Sometimes SETAs will come to us and say that, hey, we need clients that are working with cleaning detergents. Then we compile a list of those clients, and then they come and train those clients for us.
So Sita Bogo commented that the food and bev SETA is perhaps a place for Asanda, sorry, to go to.
Yeah.
Would you also advise that?
Advise?
To go to the food and bev SETA?
Yes, I'll advise that. And we have the exhibitions whereby the clients can go abroad to go and showcase what they are doing. Like maybe the last time we had a food and beverage expo in Ghana, I think somewhere in March, our clients went there to showcase what they are doing, so that they can export what they are doing. Yeah.
Thanks, Bonolo. Ivan, do you have comments around training of staff? I see there Tebogo keeps adding some more information about which SETAs are appropriate for which sectors. But if a small business, so we don't have to stick to only what SEDA is offering, but if we must advise a small business in terms of staff training and creating the capacity in their business to training of their staff, what the best way would be to do that?
Well, in Mafikeng or Northwest, we team up with organizations like NYDA, Department of Economic Development. So that training we can provide in the Northwest province.
Good. We've addressed all the questions. We've had a long discussion around finance and funding and so on today, which is obviously a topic that often emerges. Bonolo and Ivan, as we start to end off our discussion here today, I'll give you a chance to maybe give us your impression of the discussion today or some final advice that you want to give the entrepreneurs in the room. I can just quickly share with you, everyone in the room, we have started a WhatsApp group that you can join and get notice of these events. You can scan with your phone that QR code, or you can go to the, you can enter that short code. I'll put the short code in the text chat for everyone to be able to see and just maybe perhaps click on if you wish to join that WhatsApp group to get notice of the BizClinic events. And then just a quick announcement from the EPI side, we're involved with a project called DigiBiz, where we talk about adoption of new technology and supporting entrepreneurs in adopting digitalization as a way of growing their businesses. There's some research involved there too, and the forming of communities of practice for not only the entrepreneurs, but also the business support practitioners and the researchers, gathering information around them. If you're interested in that, you can go there to digibiz.net.za and join that discussion too. That's just a few quick announcements from our side. I see that we have Mercy from IBASA in the room. I'm not sure if there are any announcements from IBASA side. Mercy, you can also do so if you want to unmute and say so. Mercy. Or is there now an issue for you to unmute? Looks like. Okay, well then we've got 3 minutes left before the half an hour or the hour is up. So some last comments from you, Bonolo and Ivan. We'll start with you, Bonolo. How did you find today's discussion?
It was, let me unmute myself, okay?
Yeah, you're unmuted, we can hear you.
Okay, it was very much fruitful and informative. And I liked the questions from the participants, and where we did not answer you, probably we will meet again and then we will discuss whatever it is. And from me, I would like to say, have commitment in whatever you are doing. If you are committed, the person who's assisting you will also be committed in you. So that's all from me. Thank you.
It wraps off the enthusiasm of the entrepreneur, wraps up on the advisor. So I know that too from experience. Thanks, Bonolo. Thanks for participating and giving your time. Also, Ivan, thank you to you. You would like to make a final comment about your experience today or some final advice you want to give people in the room?
Well, my advice to all the business people is to make use of the services that government provides for small enterprises. And to be a client of SEDA, obviously, you'll get to know about what's happening in the business space. And I agree with Bonolo, there's no business person who's waiting for money to come to him. I mean, you must go out there and make money, and money will follow you. I mean, most of the success stories which I heard is people who are coming after my clients wanted to fund them. So if you work hard in your business, people will see that and will want to be part of you. That's my parting word.
Great. Thank you very much, Ivan, also for your time and your advice. And Asanda, Busi, Gail, Gay, Cabello, those that Mondi that participated well and gave some good advice, you know, sort of also from those that were here learning, Chepo, Wilfred, thanks for, William, thanks for joining today. We do this every first Friday of the month. Easy way to participate and share our learnings and help each other to grow. So that is what it's about, is supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses to make a contribution towards our country and our communities. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to see you soon again, whether it is here or on some other platform or at a SEDA regional office. There's some hearts and claps and so on coming in the reactions too. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.